fourth, fifth time. Mate, I'm trying to do is, here we go. Invite. Jed Hill. Here we go. Hopefully this is the one. It's trying to it's sending some weird invites instead of. Here we go. You're back, mate. Awesome.
It keeps saying that it's expired on the iPad. We'll give that the arse.
Yeah, there might be something on my end as well, but we'll just roll with this, mate, and see where we go. So yeah. I think we got up to it. You were in the army for a period of time. Now, in the army back then, was it tradition? A lot of soldiers and stuff were tattooed or were getting tattooed.
No, they used to call me recruit pictures at boot camp.
Okay.
And
okay.
There was a queer fucking sergeant. He wanted me to go and strip down to me jocks because he wanted to do a hygiene fucking, and he's got me standing there and me jocks pointing the fucking bits of me fucking body with a fucking pointer thing, make sure you wash here and here. And what's this fucking thing here, recruit pictures? What's that say?
Was he thorough?
Not that thorough.
Oh, mate. Crazy. So who were doing some of your early tattoos back then?
I got my first one off Vaughan Griffiths when he was up behind the Matthew Flinders in Holmes Glen.
Okay.
They were building houses and had the college up there. Then near the Matthew Flinders Hotel. Yep. He was working out the front room of his house. I'd borrowed my neighbour's car because I was only 17 at the time. And
yep.
I drove in and went flying up the driveway, bang, bang, bang on the door, and I'm here for a tattoo. How old? You're not old enough for a tattoo. I just drove here. Look, it's the car here. All right, come in. So, Vaughan flung the first one on me.
Yeah, nice.
And then a mate that I was working with at General Motors at Fisherman's Bend, he lived out Altona way somewhere. And,
yep.
He was getting tattooed off Bev. So I went out there, a couple of train rides out to Williamstown Beach and stood in the queue all day,
Yep.
Watched the big fella hit the deck as soon as she touched him, Didn't put me off. Still wanted another one, so.
Yep.
And that was Bev, and then went down to Mordialloc, and I think Ross McAlpine and Devo, and old Bert van der Waal, they were all down there Mordialloc way at one stage there, and I stopped down there. Anyhow, Devo put a bit around the next one, and then I went to Dickie and back to Vaughan, and I sort of liked Vaughan, liked his stuff, and. Where would I go? Oh, then Bert and Paul opened up in North Road, Ormond. Paul Disher and Meg he's in Ferntree Gully now.
Yeah.
And Bert van der Waal, he passed away a year or two ago now. I'm a bit mixed up with COVID and that. Luke, his son's got the Australian Tattoo Company in Dandenong these days.
Okay, yep.
Shout out to Luke if you're there. Hello, TC. I saw you'd come on before too. TC's up there watching.
Yep. Yeah, nice. We'll have to get Tony onto one of them late night chats after this.
Oh, that'd be great. We should get him on. Can you do more than one person on this live thing?
Mate, I don't know how to do it. I'll try and work it out. I'll try. And we'll keep rolling. We'll see if we can get him in later.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about that around that time, you tried out a few different shops and artists and stuff, and you came back to Vaughan. Obviously, there was only 2 handfuls of tattooers in Melbourne at the time, sort of thing. So was everyone pretty much on the same level, or some, stand out a bit more?
Oh, at that stage, it was just a tough sticker. There wasn't any real sort of he was better than him or sort of thing. It was just got a gap here, got to fill it up.
Yeah.
Dickie was in Flinders Street.
Yep.
With Johnny Entwistle, Johnny Dollar. I was talking to him on the phone this morning, actually, Johnny Dollar.
Nice.
Yeah,
how's he doing?
He's had a bit of a waterworks problem. He's been on the, what do they call it, that poison, that mustard gas they give him.
Okay.
For cancer. He's been on that, so that's slowed him up a little bit.
Yeah.
But he still sounds good the same, I said he should come on this. I told him about this, and he, nah, Nah, don't like journalists. Had me fill of journalists over the years. That's it. No, not doing that.
Yeah, yeah. I might actually after this, I've wanted to, because obviously he's not in the shop at the moment. But would you be able to get me a address so I can write him a letter?
Johnny?
Yeah.
Oh, Punt Road. I don't know what number it is.
Yeah, no, because he's probably not going to be in the shop because of all the COVID shit.
Well, you can email him, John at...
Oh, okay, cool. Yep.
John at whistlestop.com.au, I think it is, but I will get back to you with the...
Yeah, cool.
With that, yeah. All right, give me a phone number.
I'd be too scared to call, mate.
I can't give his mobile number, but I know his shop number off by heart. I knew it for years. It was my own home phone and his phone number. I don't know why I remembered them, but they're the only two numbers I remembered and still remember to this day.
Yeah, mine growing up was 404-3626.
Yeah, 937132. That was, and then they put a 9 in front of it, or a 53 in front of it, or something. Then a 9.
Yep. Yeah, crazy. So with all that, after the army, what were you sort of doing for work and stuff before you got into tattooing, and how did you cross over and start tattooing, or who, you know?
Well, when I was in the army, Devo, Danny Galvin was working out of Ross McAlpine's old shop out at I forget what they I've forgotten the name of the suburb, out the other side of Albury anyway.
Yep.
And we ended up going on a road trip over to Shepparton, and he was outlining and I was colouring them in. Okay. And it was around that time I got out of the army. Yep. There's another story.
A bit of good luck.
Yeah. I've got my legal team online tonight too, so there's a few things he's warned me not to say, you know. Don't
worry, mate. We can edit this later out anyway.
How are you, Jacko, by the way? I hope you're out there. You're listening in, Jacko. He's my legal man. I bought a couple of finesse machines off Devo.
Right, yep.
And of course I went home and started chopping people up, and as you did, you know. Yep. And I just went from there, and then Bert had opened up. He'd got out of it for a little while, and then he decided to get back into it, and he opened up a shop up in Dandenong. So I went down there, and I said, "What about giving us a go, Bert? Give me a start, you know." Yep. You know, I was expecting to be, because he used to outline and Med used to colour him in. That was the way it was in the almond shop. Yep. I was expecting that. He says, "Oh, look, bring your machines down, we'll have a look." So I took my machines down and he plugged them in and give them a run. He says, "Yep, no worries, here's the keys, see ya." Nice. Awesome. And that's honest to God how my professional career started.
Amazing. Amazing.
And we had some fun times in that shop, you know. The pool table used to get a hell of a workout.
Yeah, that's a famous photo. I think you, Colin Creed, and a lot of the ladies. Like, was that shop?
No, that was Images in Carlisle.
Yeah. Yeah. So what sort of stuff were you doing there? Like, what sort of flash was it? Was it stuff that you know you guys had drawn, or was it like mass produced stuff on the walls?
At Bert's shop, it was all stuff he'd hand painted.
Yeah. Wow. Yep. What's a little bit of Bert's history, if you don't mind me asking?
Bert van der Wald. He came to Australia at a young age from Holland.
Yep. I imagine Dutch heritage.
Yeah, Dutch, Van der Wald.
Yeah. Yep.
He used to go by the name of Bert Wild in the early days, but his name's Albertus van der Wald.
Yep.
Fucking character, great man.
Yep. Who kicked him off tattooing? Do you know?
I honestly don't know how he got his start, but I know he was hunting around down the Morty Alex shop back in the day. You know, Kevin Copper.
Yep.
Devo was down there. Well, a bunch of, you know, they're all sort of hanging around that shop at that stage. But I didn't get down only the once when Devo tattooed me.
Yep.
And that's how I got the connection with him initially.
Yeah, cool.
When I up with him again in Albury.
Yep. So back then down in Dandenong, you got your 2 Furness machines. What sort of needle groups and stuff are you using back then?
3 needle outline, 7 needles round shader.
Nice, nice.
And I was still using a 7 round shader in '92 when I was in New York working at Larry Davis's Physical Graffiti. G'day, Larry, if you're listening.
Yep.
He had Paul Booth working there at the time, and
yep.
I remember Paul. He looked over. I'd just done a tiger with a 3 needle outline, the 7. You did that with a 7 round? How did you do that? Oh, I don't know, mate. Well,
yeah. Were you spreading those rounds like through a tea towel or a t-shirt or anything? No.
Oh, yeah, for a little bit sometimes. You know,
yep.
when I was with when I was working with Charlie Wagner in Dandenong, he used to do a round group of 8 and poke the centre one out.
Yep.
He used to use beading needles, the long ones.
Oh yeah, yep.
And he'd poke the centre one out, and I don't know. He used to have these big fat fingers and fat hands. I don't know how he used to do it, you know.
Yep.
But there was a character, Charlie. He was a funny bugger. He used to work with Patsy and Chris Webb, Spider Webb, out at Somerville Road.
Okay.
Patsy's shop there. And, the pair of them were building machines and that. One day, Charlie was going to work. Funny story.
Yep.
May he rest in peace. Some bloke had escaped from one of the jails, and he had cut hair tattooed across his throat. And Charlie had cut hair across his throat too. Charlie's jumped on the train in Dandenong and with his Gladstone bag and tattoo machines, heading over to Footscray. And someone's jumped off the train and rung the coppers and told them that this escapee was on the train.
Wow.
So by the time he got to Caulfield, I think it was, all the cops rushed onto the train and dragged him off the train. And Charlie's standard response cops was always, "Get fucked."
Yeah.
And of course they carted him off, and they had him for I don't know how long, but they had him in the for a while till they established that he wasn't the escapee, you know.
Yeah, great. Hey, give us a quick lesson on fashion, right? What's a Gladstone bag? Like, is that the Sharpie era?
No, Gladstone bag goes back into the 40s, 50s, maybe earlier. The old brown bag.
With the opening the top like that?
No, the whole top opened up, so you had like a big square opening in the top, you know, like the...
Okay, yep.
Closed in the middle, and you'd pull it apart.
Yep.
And it had like a crocodile print on the I don't know if it was leather or fake leather but that was what they called a Gladstone bag. That was what all the men went to work with. It was a Gladstone bag.
Yeah, cool. Is that pre-era of like tattooers turning up with the briefcase?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I think Johnny Entwistle was the first one I saw turn up with a briefcase. Johnny and Dick. There's that photo of the pair of them in Bridge Road, Richmond, with the briefcases.
Yep.
Yeah. I had my briefcase period too. Yeah.
Yeah, I tattoo, and I'm good friends with old Pete Tiliakos. He works, at Max's in the Cross, Rocky.
Yep. Yeah,
and he always comes into the shop with his briefcase, and a lot of the other artists are like they're captivated by him and the briefcase. They're like, what the fuck's in it? And I'm like, I don't know. I can imagine stuff for business, that's just, and I go, that's the way it was back then, because you were kind of like, I'm professional, man. I'm serious.
Well, you had a tracing pad in there sometimes, and you had your machines wrapped up in towels, dirty old towel.
Yeah, the good old tea towel wrapping them up, yeah.
With your needles that had been in there for God knows how long.
Yeah, well,
done.
Yeah, crazy. So you were working in Dandenong yourself, Charlie Wagner, Bert, obviously coming and going. Yeah.
Yeah, well, what happened... Charlie opened there was another bloke, Rick Lockett, in Dandenong. He was a New Zealand bloke.
Yeah.
He opened up where Charlie eventually took over. I don't know where he went or what happened to him.
Yeah.
But Charlie opened up down there, and I went down there with Charlie after I'd been into, because I went and worked in between times.
Yep.
When I left Bert's in Dandenong, I went into Flinders Street.
Yep.
And got a job with Vaughan in there, Bev.
Yeah, wow.
Shaky Bill and Kevin Coppin, they were all in there at the time.
Is that the one that was that Tom and Jerry's or Sailor Bill's?
Sailor Bill's.
Right, yep. Yeah, crazy.
490 Flinders Street, yeah.
Yeah, mad.
Yeah, there was a lot of history went on down there. I remember Dickie was telling me that Rocky Vane, I think it was, had a shop down there at one time.
Yep, yep.
And you used to be able to get a whack of morphine straight through your trousers out in the back lane or something.
Nice.
I don't know how that worked, but yeah.
I just got sent something recently from a guy called Flea, a big historian. He was saying, like,
Yeah.
I think Rocky Vane had tiger snakes in the shop.
Yeah, he used to milk them for anti-venom, sell it for anti-venom. Yeah.
And then I think the story goes as well, he went over and retired in WA, and I think he let loose all these tiger snakes on an island or something along those lines.
Yeah, I didn't hear that story.
Yeah. There was another one.
If you're out there.
Yeah, there was another one Flea just sent me. Someone stole Rocky Vane's snake from the shop and took it into the pub on the corner and put it on the bar and was ordering beers. And I think he came in and, like, got it back off him, and old mate got arrested. But it must have been just a crazy... Because that was a big wharfy area, wasn't it? Like Flinders Street.
Well, the wharfs did come up to Flinders Street in the early days, I was led to believe. They'd moved the actual bank of the river across and reclaimed land there, you know. And it's changed in the time that I can remember it from as a kid. There was the overpass right out the front of the shop.
Yep.
If you walk out the front of the shop, you open the door and there's an overpass in front of you, like a concrete wall for the trams. But they
when I was a kid, I went into Vaughan's shop. He might have been one of the last ones there. This is probably maybe mid-'80s. And there used to be like a mural painted on the I think on that overpass.
With the Holden on it.
Yeah,
FJ Holden or something. The tattoo shop in front on it, yeah. I remember seeing photos of it, but I don't remember seeing the mural.
Yeah, but that was like a tough part of town, you know, for a long time.
Oh, yeah, rough and tumble down there, yeah.
Yep.
From Mark Hilly's pub right up to Elizabeth Street. There was, I forgot the name of the pub that was on the corner there, but yeah, she was pretty rough and tumble back in the day, I'm led to believe.
Yeah. When you guys were there, were you guys like the only shop left there then too?
In Melbourne?
No, in the Flinders Street area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was, I think Charlie Newell was up the other end of town in Little Lonsdale Street, I think, and then he moved around into Russell Street. That was
that's Tex.
Tex's son, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Tex, I believe, is still alive, just had his 101st birthday.
Wow, no way. Fuck,
yeah,
amazing.
John Entwistle, I think, caught up with him. I think there was a bit of a break in COVID lockdowns.
Yep.
Because they missed his 100th birthday because of a lockdown, but he was still there. So I don't know if that was this. I think it was just this year. You'd have to ask Johnny about that.
Yeah, because he popped up a couple of years ago. He popped up on some people's Instagram feeds, and, you know, I think he even went to one of the Melbourne conventions, and a guy, Juddy Rodden, got a photo with him, and I was like, man, how cool would it be to, you know, get you know, hold of him and hear some stuff? Because, mate, back then, like, crazy.
I can remember when I was a kid, I went into Tex's shop, and bloke came in and he said to him, "Is this all you got?" And he says, "If you can't see what you want on the wall, you don't want one. Get out." Yep. That was it. But,
yeah.
You know.
Well, I remember
so I sheepishly just snuck out the door behind this bloke.
Yeah, mate. I went into Vaughan's shop. I was probably 14, and he's standing in the doorway smoking, leaning over the door, and I snuck in under him, and I started looking on the wall, and he goes something along the lines, "Oh, what are you gonna get?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just looking, mister." And he's like, "Well, make it fucking quick." And they just snuck back out, like heart racing, like, fuck, this is crazy.
I was actually been messaging Vaughan a bit late. Well, he's been messaging me probably a bit more than I've messaged him of late. So So I asked him if he had Instagram. His missus sets him up with Messenger, and he can type a message and go enter, and that's the extent of his freaking computer skills.
Yeah, mate. So around that time, you're working with all those guys, and what was it? Just the standard stuff as well, like standard stuff off the wall. Like what was
When
the
I was in,
clientele? Working class.
yeah, when I was in Flinders Street, it was all sort of pretty rough and tumble. Whenever there was a ship around, we'd get the
Yep.
sailors would come in.
Yeah. So
I
what's
remember
that like? Mid late 70s, something like that.
79
Yeah. Right. Nice. Yep.
for that's when I think I started there.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
And Carl Van Dunen from Holland, he'd been working there just a bit before me, you know. Like,
Right. Yep.
so, we had a bit in common. Had a lot to talk about. Carl
Yep.
and I got together. Unfortunately, God rest his soul too. He's gone as well.
Yeah. Yep.
And when I was in Switzerland, I messaged him. He says, "You're in Europe." He says, "Come up here for a couple of weeks for a break." So
Yep.
I jumped on a flight and flew up to Dusseldorf, and I remember I was practicing me great German, and I've gone up to the counter. "War ist Toiletten bitte?" Down there on the right hand side. See the sign?
Oh, gold.
So then Carl had sent his wife and daughter to pick me up from the airport, and
Yep.
I was carrying on like a 2-bob watch, and she says, "The police are watching you." And I turned around, these blokes in green with machine guns glaring at me,
Yep.
and I was like, "You beauty," and I bolted over to them. And they get me photo taken, and they all shot through. Took off in every direction.
Never miss a good opportunity.
Oh, shit, no, don't you let a chance go by. And they said, "You idiot, come on," they carted me off out of the airport, and off we went. But I had a great time in Holland with those guys, beautiful people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So back to like say Dandenong Flinders Street. You know, you started off with your furnace machines. Were you like getting hold of other stuff back then? Were there any tattoo conventions going on then, or tattoo shows, or?
Oh, that was
meetings?
a bit later on.
Yep.
No, that was a bit later on. I remember I bought a couple of Zeiss machines.
Okay. Yep.
I imported a couple of them, and I've gone to Vaughan, and I says, "How do you fucking tune these DC machines, Vaughan?" He said, "As long as the fucking things go up and down, you know what I mean." So
yep.
I went with that theory for years.
Yeah.
As long as they go up and down.
So obviously with that you were running AC current.
Not with the DC machines I got from Zeiss. I was using AC when I was backyard and before Bert gave me a job.
Yep.
And at Bert's too, because I took them into. I was using the AC. They only had the DC power units in Flinders Street, so I had to get some DC machines, save carting shit around everywhere.
Yep. Yeah, cool. And back then, because didn't Vaughan tattoo your chest, or what did he do?
Yeah. Yeah, Vaughan did me chest. He actually he did the first sitting in Flinders Street, and then he coloured it in when I was sunburned out at Pete Backman's studio at 55 Portman Street. Yeah.
Well, mate, I'm sure it stayed in.
Yeah, it's sort of still there, you know.
Yep. So with that, in one of the there you go. One of the promo pics I put up was you tattooing Peter Backman.
Yeah.
Where was that picture taken at?
Yeah, 55 Portman Street.
Okay. Yep.
You know. Yeah. Yeah, that was Steve Baxter was working there at the time. You know, Clint and Luke Baxter's dad.
Yep.
Yeah. He was working there at the time. I could. There's some stories I just can't say anything about. Legal advisors right behind me. I'm saying nothing. I'm saying nothing, Steve.
Mate, amazing. Yeah. Like, mate, his boys are so good. Like, I've bumped into Clint a few times over the years recently, and it's always a good laugh, mate. Like, yeah, his boys have done him proud.
Yeah, I can remember Steve taking me. I drove Steve home one night, and he was showing me Clint's drawings. Like, he was just he wrote his name on it, and he got the L and the I too close together, and you know what that spells, don't you?
Oh, yes. I just got that. I'm a bit slow, mate. I'm still hungover.
Yeah, so that was that was the first time I saw any of Clint's work. But he had ability back then, you know, like, and Steve was proud of him.
Yeah, nice. So with all of that, like, were you starting to go interstate or anything, or were you just hanging out in Melbourne?
What happened? I bounced around Melbourne a bit.
Yep.
Johnny Entwistle bought partnership in a shop out at Bayswater, and I was out there working his half of that for him.
Yeah, cool.
At one stage, and then Colin Creed and I hooked up, and we opened up the Australian Tattoo Company in Lonsdale Street, Dandenong, 1985.
Nice. Yep.
I was
So
there.
that you obviously stayed there for a bit.
I was only there for about 12 months, and I sold my share to Colin Creans from Adelaide.
Okay. Yep.
And then I moved. I was out working with Graham Isles out at Frankston, and
Yep.
Names escape me off the top of my head. I'm sorry, guys, if I.
No. Was that Graham? Was that like obviously Bodyline?
Yep.
Like Graham stuff, mate. Like Australia definitely had its own style, I would say, especially Melbourne. Like, wall to wall color, a lot of like the spirally clouds and the lightning and the bubbles. A lot of that came from old Danny.
Right. Okay. Yep. Old Danny Robinson, he was using bubbles and swirly things and stuff like that. He was ahead of his time, way ahead of his time, Danny.
Yeah.
Brilliant. It used to leave me in awe looking at his tattoos.
Yeah. Someone VXO's just jumped up on here saying, Graham Isles has done all of mine. Yeah, mate, he's a legend. Like very distinct style. I believe he's still powering it out.
Yeah. Apparently, I think his missus sent me a message the other day. He's still working down there in Frankston.
Yep. Yeah, nice.
Been him for ages. Yeah.
Yeah, so with all of that, obviously Danny had a big influence on, Australian tattooing in general, but pretty much Melbourne because Colin Creed worked with him. Was that after Dandenong or before?
No, that was after Dandenong. That was after I was sort of managing the shop in St Kilda there at one stage, and I rang up Colin because we'd had the Australian Tattoo Company together.
Yep.
And I said, I'm up at St Kilda, like he says, I'll come up.
Yep.
So he come up and never left.
Yep. Mate, big city lights.
Yeah. So I'd gone and he was still there after I'd gone. So he was working there at Smear. Do you know Smear?
Yeah, I know Smear. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
so there's a cool photo. I think it's of you and AJ, and you got a white T-shirt on. It's the illustrated man with a black hunter on it and St Kilda. So did Danny draw that, or Tony draw it, or you?
That was one of Tony's designs. Beans and I, for some reason, I don't know why. Beansy.
Yeah. Beans a legend, man. Yep.
And Beansy and I ended up at the Illustrated Man working.
Right. Wow.
Together. And one Saturday night, we both had the same shirts on.
Yep.
We both had brand new Illustrated Man shirts on.
Yep.
And there was supposed to have been a party at some clubhouse out west somewhere, and we just kept driving and driving. We didn't know where the fuck we were in Sydney, So we all stuff this. There's a convention going on in Adelaide. We'll jump a plane and go down there.
Yep.
So that's what we did. We jumped a plane and flew down to down to Adelaide to the Thurberton Theatre. I think it was the Warlords. I think it was the Warlords they called at the time. Some club down there was running a tattoo show at the Thurberton Theatre.
Yeah.
So we ended up there with everyone, AJ and Beansy, and everyone was down there. That was a good weekend too.
Yeah, amazing.
Real messy, fast weekends they were. Terrible.
That was the time, man. So, but with all of that, like a lot of people probably younger people don't know, but a lot of bike clubs would run conventions back in the day and tattoo shows, all that sort of stuff. Because it was, a big part of the clientele base too.
Yeah, well, we didn't have bloody. All right, I won't go there.
Next.
People were different then.
Totally, yeah. Well, exactly like I've said on here before, there were only so many subcultures available to gravitate towards back in the day. Where now, you can make one up at the drop of a hat, and you can have 1,000 followers in 2 minutes. So
yeah, look. Tony Cohen was the only bloke that wore stovepipes and fucking desert boots back in the day.
Yep. Mate, he's always been a style guru.
Yeah.
So how did it, so you would have met Tony in Melbourne when he was working down there?
Yeah, I first met him at a Tattoo Artists Association meeting, the TAAV, the Tattoo Artists Association of Victoria.
Yep.
Him and Danny had turned up at one of the very first meetings or something, and
Yep.
he was like a beacon to me, like
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Larger than life, Tony, like,
Yep.
and I ended up talking to him, became friendly with him, got tattooed by him. He invited us out to his big Mexican ranch out at Rockbank.
Yep.
He was real proud of the fucking $700 barbecue he just had built. $700 back in that day was probably like $4 or $5 grand now,
Wow.
Like,
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Nice.
And he turned the garage into a pool room, and
Yep.
I had little kids at that time, and he reckons that I'd convinced him that he needed to have another kid because Brett was down, so he was down there surfing all the time. But this is before Brooke was born.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, Tony took a shine to my little girl. Her name was Kelly Brooke. Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
So, yeah.
Well, I imagine that time, like there's that classic old photo of Tony and Danny together. They would have been two of the like leading tattooers of the time in Australia. And I imagine, those two together, like so many people must have been excited to think what's going to come out of this. Like, it's going to take tattooing in general to the next level.
Yeah, yeah. But they were sort of probably couple of the premier tattooers, but you had like blokes like Les Bowen. No,
yep.
They weren't as publicised. They were up north. Yep. They each shifted from down here and went up north, Les.
Yeah,
but he was pretty good too in the day, I reckon.
Totally. Yeah, I've seen on Dwayne Cash has got some. I remember one. He's got a big mad Fudo on his arm from Les Bowen. I remember seeing it going, "Fuck, man, who did that?" It was so cool. Like back in the day, like would have had to have been drawn up custom or something like that. It wasn't just off the wall and slapped on there.
Yeah,
But I guess Les didn't get the notoriety of maybe Tony and Danny just purely because of his geographical position, way up Townsville way. Yeah. But mate, phenomenal. I think he's ABC or someone did a little sketch on him. I think he's A5 or something, but he's still tattooing. It was a really cool interview online. If anyone wants to Google it, just do Les Bowen tattoo, and I'm sure it'll come up.
Yeah, he's pretty grumpy. I remember he's pretty grumpy.
Yeah. But there was a lot of tattooers back then. Like,
come off the grass. No, not.
No, I know. Well, true. They were like, just roll out the red carpet. Come on in. Not everyone was like Johnny Dollar offering you a cup of tea.
Sit down, shut up, get your money ready. You got your cigarettes?
Yeah, mate, brutal. Like, it's crazy to think that, I'll just have that one off the wall. And, there wasn't really much guidance. It was like, where do you want it? Sweet, bang, next. Yeah.
Pretty much.
But that's the thing as well. Like, a lot of younger tattooers have never experienced like a lineup outside the shop. People would get there early and, just wait all day.
I can remember standing out the front in the footpath waiting for Dickie Reynolds to come and open the door to go up the stairs to his place. You go up into one single room with floorboards and smoky looking flash and church pews around the wall, and you'd sit around the church pew waiting your turn. Got up off the church pew for a cigarette, you lose your spot.
Hey, do you know on the history thing? Do you know whoever ended up with Dickie Reynolds stuff, or is it around, or you can tell me off air?
I did have a rumour that Trevor McStay had some of it.
Oh, nice. I have to ask him. That'd be cool. Yeah. What about, did you ever come across Des Connolly back in the day as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Desi was out at Brunswick. I'd been out there a couple of times and he was always too busy. And then there was one time Charlie and I decided we had a quiet Saturday. So I don't know, football was on or something and no one around. So we decided we'd go and visit Desi out at Brunswick. We just went on tour, we're off our tits, the pair of us. I remember we were driving a little Galant, was one of them little Mitsubishi Galant things, Valiant Galant or whatever it was, tiny little thing. And we wound up out at Sydney Road there, and this is this was before he went round into what's the name of the street? Oh, he went round a back street off Sydney Road eventually. Yep. Anyway, I've forgotten the name of it now. But he says, "Oh, come in." He'd been asked to go and look at his come to have a look at his penthouse and his tattoo museum.
Oh, nice. Yep.
So we rolled up to the tattoo shop, and I think I'd already been tattooed by Alfie Mingans there under the stairs. He had a little setup under the stairs. So yeah, we followed Desi up the stairs and gone into the front room. It was just a heap of like plywood sheets with old newspaper clippings on it and that old like acetate clear stuff on the top, like they used to make the stencils out of.
Yep.
Had that over the top of it and just boxes full of stuff. That was his museum.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And then his penthouse was his bedroom, and it was stacked up full of boxes with VCR cassettes and stuff. And
dare I ask what sort?
Yeah, well, you know, I didn't go through the boxes, Rhys, but
here, borrow this one. It's one of my favourites.
There's only a tiny little passageway between all these boxes, and you do a right turn, and you get. And he used to hang around with the Turks down the street. That's where he used to get his hash from, obviously.
Nice.
And I don't know, he must have got something from an old Turkish restaurant because it looked like like an old Turkish Middle Eastern arch that he had.
Yep.
And that was in front of his bed. And he's you two blokes climb in there. So there's Charlie and I climbing into his bed, and he's playing Buck Rogers in the 25th century on the fucking VCR, handing us King Kongs. And it was this Turkish hash, and we left there, and we got into the city baths there, and I think we pulled up at the city baths, and just past Bouverie Street, or in Bouverie Street. And we sat through 2 sets of traffic lights, and I looked at Charlie, and I said, where the fuck are we? And he said, oh, fuck, I don't know. No, we eventually got out. We did a U-turn around the city baths. I remember that, and we must have gone back down Swanson Street. Headed back down out there, and we ended up on Dandenong Road, heading back towards Dandenong, and there was this couple hitchhiking. Well, there's another. Well, okay, me legal bloke just told me to pull my neck in.
Oh, yep.
We'll get off that story. Remind me to tell you that one when we were face.
Obviously, you weren't driving.
Yeah.
So obviously, Des was like the artiste. Like, did you ever hear of like back in the day then? Like, because obviously he had a hand in the Sailor Jerry machines and would correspond with him. You know, Did you ever come across was Des selling Sailor Jerry machines in Australia or anything like that?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't know Des that well.
Yeah.
To buy stuff off him, I had the tattoo. He joined me up in the tattoo club and all that. You know, with the certificates, and I had a couple of newsletters, but I didn't have a great lot to do with him. Well, you're probably better off talking to Beverly about Desi.
Yeah,
She'll tell you about Desi.
Yeah, cool. I was going to say, what about Alfie Mingans? Because he must have been like considered one of the premier artists of that era too.
Some appreciated it more than others.
Yep.
The ability.
Yep.
But it was just tattoos, mate. It wasn't good tattoos or bad tattoos. It was tattoos.
Yeah, tattoos. Yeah.
Or tattoos.
Yeah.
It was Hanky Panky that made me aware that as Australians we said tattoos, TADOOS.
Yep.
Tattoo. It's instead of tattoos, and I've been saying tattoos ever since.
Nice. Nice.
I went and got a tattoo off Alfie one time.
Yep.
I absolutely adored his women's faces that he did.
Yep.
They were just gorgeous.
Yep.
He had a back job there, and I said, "Can I get that face off that back job on my arm?" No.
Okay.
Okay. What about, could I get that one? Won't fit.
So he was accommodating.
Can I have these goldfish here? Yep. Goldfish on the back there. But it was an experience.
Yeah.
I says, I actually tattooed too. Oh,
Yeah.
you do you? That was the end of that conversation.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, that would have been a quick and silent remainder of that experience.
Pretty much,
Yeah,
pretty much.
yeah.
He had a funny little setup on it. He had a funny little drip thing off the tap that he used to clean his machine out under. I don't know. It was just like I don't know. I can't explain it. It looked like a
Yeah,
science experiment.
yeah, yeah. So
Right.
after all of that, like St Kilda, working at the Illustrated Man, where was next after that?
Frick.
Because that's
Well,
obviously mid-80s.
yeah, mid-80s we opened the Australian Tattoo Company, and that was around the time Tony invited me to go up to Sydney.
Okay, yep, yep,
So that was my first time on an aeroplane and everything. Just,
yep. Yeah, mad.
went
And
up
was
and
that was
hey,
that the was that William Street shop or Manly or?
William Street there,
Yeah, nice. Yep,
just down from the cross there.
yep.
And yeah, he took me out to his house and put me on a camp stretcher in his den, which might have been the room he was in when you had the interview with him.
Yep, yep.
And you got no idea. It was like I was in euphoria. It was just
Yep,
all this stuff, magazines and
yep.
photo albums and
Oh,
books, and
yep,
I was just trying to suck it all in. You know, it was
yep,
just amazing. You know, you had
yep.
that much stuff, Tony.
Mate, and incredibly fucking well documented as well. Like it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Amazing machine collection. Like, yeah, yeah, so crazy. So what was your impression coming from Melbourne and like checking out the cross for the first time in Sydney? Because the cross must have been, in its heyday back then, pretty wild, which I imagine
Oh,
trickled down to William Street as well.
how you going to keep them down on the farm after they've seen Paris? Like, and it was, yeah. I was chanting at the bit to get back again.
Yep, yep.
One highlight of that trip was Tony was working. No, hang on, Tony was working at the red light at that stage. He just
Okay,
come
yep,
back from Melbourne. This is before William Street.
yep,
But for Wally Hammond, he was working up there.
yep.
And sitting there talking to Wally the day before I was coming home, and he says, "You earned any money while you've been there?" I said, "No." He handed me $50. Well, I didn't knock it back. I was broke.
Yeah, 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 yep.
And I've gone, "Oh, thanks very much. I'll shoot it straight back to you." So I was like, "No," he says, "That's a gift."
Oh, nice.
And that was my experience with Wally Hammond. That's all I really had to do with him.
Yeah, wow, wow.
I had met Herb Froman when he come down to Melbourne. He used to come down and stay with Bev.
Yep,
That's when I first become aware of Pete and Nick Tiliakis.
yep, yep. Yeah,
He used to
nice.
talk about them all the time, and Max and that. So
Yep. Yeah, because Herb was quite an interesting character. I was talking to Tony about it. Like, there's a lot of rumors that he one I heard was like he drove a taxi, but apparently he never ever had anyone in the taxi. I got told as well that he worked for the CIA. There were all sorts of craziness, But he was very, very well known. He knew his tattoos and he knew how to get guys in the chair and where to send them and all that stuff. And
apparently he set him up with a stencil and everything up at the red light back in the day, and wait for this in ready for their tattoo.
Yeah, nice, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, offer aftercare, like gold. So
I can remember he bought down a battery operated tattoo machine with him. I'd never seen anything like it. It looked like it lit off a fucking pressure pack and a nozzle out the end of it. And, I actually did a tattoo on me. So, it's still there. Be fucked. Yep. I forgot about it until just then. Little tiny little flower that I did on it with this battery.
Crazy.
My first introduction to rotary.
Nice. With all of that, like obviously you went back to Melbourne. Where did you go back then, or were you still floating around shops, sort of thing?
I had I owned the half share with Colin Creed at the Australian Tattoo.
Yep.
Then it was like I was there after 12 months. Like Cransey from South Australia bought half off me, and because I wanted to get out and buy a place up the bush and get my kids up the bush at that stage.
Yeah, nice. Yep.
And Yeah, that's what I ended up working over with Graham and that over at Bodyline,
Yep.
killing time before we actually sort of bought the house and moved up.
Yeah, cool. Where was that, up around Ballarat where you are now?
Yeah, I came to Ballarat, and initially I was washing bricks and putting up clotheslines with my old man. He'd taken an early retirement from General Motors. He was an engineer there.
Yep.
And he was just doing that. I don't know.
Yeah.
He'd do anything
Who was
with his
tattooing in Ballarat at that stage? Anyone?
nuts.
Right. Okay. Yep. Yep.
Nuts had the Rubicon Street shop.
Yep.
And I got sick of working with the old man. This is fucked. I'm going to start tattooing again. And Nuts wouldn't give me a job. So I went and had a look at this little shop. And I've gone and seen Nuts. I said, I found, them little shops over in Humphrey Street. I says, I'm going to rent one of them and set up. And she says, you better go and get your gear and move in here.
Nice. Nice move. Nice move.
I was with Nuts there for a while.
Yeah, cool. And obviously the lure of Sydney, you obviously kept coming back over the years.
Well, I could always get a good earn in Sydney.
Yep.
A really good earn in Sydney. And
yep.
a couple of different incidents happened where I needed to pay fines and things, and I needed big money in Ari, so I ended up back up at Tony's. I mean, at one stage there, I was working out at Kim's at Newtown through the day.
Yep.
I knock off at 5:30, and I'd have to start at 5:30 at the Illustrated Man. So I did get a couple of speeding fines between Newtown and Central.
Yeah, man. Wow.
But that was
crazy.
They were long days.
Yeah. Long days, long nights. But mate, that's where the big bucks are sometimes.
Yeah. I was living above the Celtic Dragon then.
Yep. Is that? Did you meet Bish around that time, or have you met him before then? Or
I did meet him at the Celtic Dragon. I can't remember what year it was. Simon, what year was it? Where are you? Are you there?
Yeah, he should be on there, mate.
Yeah, he just come back from overseas, had a heap of T-shirts. He was flogging off at some exorbitant price, trying to rip me off, He's not here to defend himself at the moment, guy.
He obviously would have sold you a cheap tattoo machine over the years.
He did get me some Mickey B machines. Yeah.
Yep. Here we go, 94.
Thanks, Bish.
Nice. Well, we've got Bish on tomorrow night. If you're keen tomorrow night, Jed, because we've only just not even got halfway, do you mind doing round 2 tomorrow?
Oh, shit, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Well, what we'll do, we'll roll on for about another 10 odd minutes. And then we'll wind it up and we'll prep it for tomorrow night. But it might be cool to try and get, if you want, like, I'll have a 10-minute break and we'll try and get Tony on. I'll give him a quick call and see if he's up for it.
Yeah.
And if not tonight, see if we can get him on tomorrow night. Because he might have to, set up the whole thing and everything. So, because I know Brooke helps him.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we can do that. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Who were you working with at the Illustrated Man then? Who was there? Like Tony? Was Big Joel there?
The first time, in the Elizabeth William Street shop.
Yeah.
That's the one just near King's Cross, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Fran was there, and Pete Wells.
Oh yeah.
First met Pete. What a lovely bloke.
Yeah.
He was just a thorough gentleman, and years later it was, I hadn't seen him, and I was walking through Newtown, and I was near the railway station, someone screaming out my name, and what the fuck's that? Like, who knows me here?
Yeah.
It was friggin' Pete. He'd stuck his head out the pub with a pot in his hand. Come and have a beer.
Nice.
Yeah, I sat there having a beer with Pete. He was great.
Yeah, crazy.
He always used to pull me into the green room whenever they were down. It was good.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm going to ask you a little in a minute, but just before I forget, traveling between Melbourne and Sydney, around that era, like obviously there's no tattoo magazines and that sort of thing. What did you see was a difference between Melbourne? Was there a noticeable difference in styles or clientele, what people were getting?
On the whole, there was tattoo magazines around in those days.
Okay. Yeah.
there was like mixed Australian tattoo, and
Yep.
not after that, Pete Backman had started Tattoos Down Under.
That's right. Yep.
On the whole, Sydney tattoos weren't as classy as what I was seeing in Melbourne.
Yep. Yep.
Like Tony's fucking, he was out of the norm, you know, like
Yep.
he was.
Yep.
And of course, the girls, Fran and Kim, were doing tidy tattoos at the time. But otherwise, you never really saw any really great stuff. But I wasn't involved in it. I saw the odd sort of good stuff come out of the cross, but
yeah. Well, I think Melbourne has always had more tattooers than Sydney did in that era, especially.
well, we used to refer to Melbourne as the tattoo capital of Australia.
100%.
You know, it was always, always.
And even like say Queensland back then, like someone with sleeves, coloured sleeves, were definitely from Melbourne or Sydney. As opposed to Queensland sort of thing because of the sun. There was, but maybe not the amount of heavily tattooed people.
Yeah, I think Pete Davidson was doing a fair bit, but Pete and Rod and John Poole and that, though.
Here we go. Max Chade has just jumped on and gone, thanks, mate. So you're obviously referring to Max's work as classy.
Oh, well, Max, I never really saw any of your work, brother.
So, yeah. No, okay. So after that as well, say music's always been a big part of your life as well, from what I can see. So were you involved in music, early in the piece, or did that come later in life?
Well, I always struggled, and that just sort of fell into place, mainly through the influence of my son. He was
okay.
There was what his mate and another bloke I knew, like it was the fathers and sons we jammed together.
Yep.
It was how come you can sing and I can't, you prick, And because you can sing, I've heard you in the shower.
There we go. Jim Morrison Hare said the man can sing.
Is that what happened? I got drunk up at the Blues Club in early 2000. I got in the Scotch shop there one day and got some Dutch courage up, and we're going to sing a song. Going to sing a fucking song. And I got up and spelled it out, Hoochie Coochie Man, I think it was, from memory. And Jack Creamers used to be the drummer in Meadow Lake. Well, you're probably not familiar with Meadow Lake. No? They were Mushroom Records' first gold album, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Recipients. Jack played drums with them, and he used to come up the jam session. He says, "I didn't know you sang Jed." I said, "Who the fuck is I, Jack?" And then the manager of the joint says, "Geez, Jed," he says, "you play in a band with Rodney?" And I says, "Yeah, but I play bass. I don't sing." He says, "Is a singer as good as you?"
Nice.
What? So he says, "I want to hire your band." So I threw a band together, and that was how all that started. And it's just all fizzled out these days. Got a bit bored with it.
Yep. Well, mate, like tomorrow night's going to be good because we haven't even touched on things of like, I think you mentioned, when did you first go overseas? Was it to Europe, or you mentioned 92, you were tattooing at Physical Graffiti when, with Larry Davis and Paul Booth there? Like
Larry, my mate Bastard came to me shop in Beaufort one day, and he had this beautiful big bright skull thing on his arm, modern, but had fat outlines and the skinny outlines and fat outlines. What the fuck is this? Wow.
Yeah.
So, there's this yank did it down at Chris Reed's for me. I said, jump on the blower and book me in, will you? I want, So he booked me in and went down the next day, and I hung out with Larry and got tattooed, and ended up driving him down, and I dropped him off down there at Trevor McStay's old place in Baronia. I took him out there.
Yep.
And I was just quizzing him about, how much it costs to live in America, and what's everything worth over there. He said, "So you want to come over? You can work in my shop, stay at my place."
Nice.
Very much, Larry.
Yep.
I've always been, Larry's always been a big influence in my mind. You know, he's always sort of on my shoulder when I was tattooing after I come home from America.
Yep.
But yeah, I went over there, and lo and behold, this bloke called Paul Booth was working in there. You know, doing this. And he'd just done that back job on Barbara Valverde, that demon-looking thing, his ex-girlfriend.
Yep.
So that was around that time. And
yeah, that was groundbreaking stuff, man. Like at the time.
My word, it was something else. And I remember I went and Paul had this van, like a shaggin' wagon thing.
I bet it was black.
To be honest, I can't remember the colour of it. We all went into a Henry Rollins concert at Limelight in Chelsea in New York, and oh man, that was an experience. Yeah, this mate of Larry's and Mikey's says, "Hey Jed, come with me. I'll show you how to score cocaine in New York City." You know, I ran down the street after this bloke. He was on parole from Jersey. He wasn't even meant to be.
Oh, welcome to the Big Apple.
Yeah, he took me into this little deli, and there was like an airlock and like a ticket window, like an old-fashioned train station ticket window.
Yeah.
This little Mexican, he says, "Just stand back, don't say anything, just stand there," you know.
Yeah.
So we've gone in there, and the door's gone click behind us, the solenoid, and he's just slid $20 across the counter, you know, and this little Mexican's stuck his head up over the counter, and he's looked at me, and he's looked at this other bloke, and then the bag came across the counter, and away we went, and down to Limelight Club, and we ended up getting lost there.
Amazing, mate. So New York was a fun time.
It was a fucking experience.
Yeah.
Place, you know.
Yeah.
So I was Larry's brother-in-law. He took me Larry asked him to take me to the guitar shops in New York City. Yep. So he had a bag over his shoulder and a bag of warm Budweiser cans, you know. And he was an athletic-looking bloke, you know, long legs, and he was striding out, and I'm running along after him around New York. And I said, "Mate, I've got to use the can." And he said, he's taking me into this real flash restaurant. It was closed, but he's going into this flash restaurant, and we've gone into the bathroom and did our business, you know. And just as we're coming out, these blokes have come running at us, you know. And he's going, "Hey, man," he's going, man, there's a big flood in the bathroom. You got to get in. There's water going everywhere. And they headed for the bathroom. We flew out the door. I never had so many laughs in all my life, I don't think, is what I had in New York.
Oh, mate, insane.
Funny experiences.
Yeah, but mate, being overseas as a tattooer, you know, is amazing in general, because other tattooers just want to show you the best time, man, and take you all the cool places, and a lot of doors open that if you weren't tattooing, so to speak.
Well, not wrong. Larry showed us a good time. We went to the very, very first Ink Slingers ball in Hollywood. We flew over to Hollywood. Yep. And we were there for that. And that was another experience again, you know.
Yeah, that's that was the one back in the day. I think it was Gil Monty and some guy called Fred Saunders, I think.
Yep. Gil Monty, he was running it, yeah.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah. Did you go and check out his shop and stuff back then?
I did go to Gil Monty's. It was just near the House of Blues, not far from the house, across the road from the House of Blues.
Yeah, I think Tattoo Mania.
Yeah, it was red, painted red, I think. I think it was like two shop fronts wide. Yeah. From memory. But yeah, that was an experience too. We ran into oh God, he used to work with Bev. Geez, that's terrible, can't remember his name. Tattooist from Melbourne. He was one of the first blokes doing really nice portraits in Melbourne.
Yes, yeah. It's on the tip of my tongue as well. Yes.
Greg Hoskins.
Yep.
He'd hired a Lincoln Continental, and I pestered him to let me drive it. Get out! I'm going to get please get out of it.
Oh,
I think I ran over a curb the first traffic island I got to. I ran over a curb.
oh.
There's a
Mate,
photo.
there goes the insurance.
Yeah, there was a photo of Larry, him, and I was sitting in the sunroof of it somewhere in Hollywood.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, there's lots of
great.
little things going on in Hollywood. That was great.
Yep. Hey, did you? Because Larry Davis did a sleeve on Geordie Cole.
Yeah.
Oh, was that around that time as well, or afterwards, or?
I think, not sure if Geordie was there before or after I went over.
Yeah, because it's crazy how, you know, Larry's had, you know, a good influence on Melbourne tattooing.
Yeah.
You know, like New York, New Jersey, you know, with Chris Reed and Steve Ferguson, the Ink Spot, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, he was always drawing Larry at night, you know. He's always had the pad going, you know, drawing stuff up.
Yep.
A
But
big
even
influence.
like tomorrow night, we're going to have to touch on, you know, Cosmic Commander. Yeah, like so much other stuff as well. So what I might do, Jed, we've pretty much we've done our hour. What I might do is, if it's all right, maybe we have a 10-minute break and I'll do all the, you know, all the uploading of this episode. And then if you're down for it, we'll come back on and see if we can't get Tony on, maybe we can get Bish on.
That'd be great.
Yeah, cool. All right, so I'm going to say goodbye, everyone. It's 9:15 now. We're going to aim for around 9:25, and we'll do sort of the next little episode. So I'm going to go to the toilet, do all that stuff.
And joined in, you know, and there's young Chloe up at Ararat. I've forgotten, she's Mad Dog or something. She told me to call her or something.
All right. Well, Bish has given us the thumbs up, so we'll see everyone in about 10 minutes. All right. Love you all. See you guys.